Okay, so by now you've already watched the notes video on piecewise functions. So this video is just going to be some extra problems. So our learning target is I can evaluate piecewise functions. Okay, so this one has three different graphs if you'll notice. I'm going to do f of x, let me do it in purple. So f of x is right there. G of x I'm going to do in green. And h of x I'll do in red. So we have three different graphs we're looking at, and so when you're doing these problems 1 through 16, you have to know which one it's talking about. So if you look at number 1, it says f of 0. That means I'm evaluating the f function, so the purple one. And remember that anytime we have a number inside of parentheses, that is my x value. So I'm looking on this first graph, and I'm looking for a point that would have an x coordinate of 0. So the only point would have to be like that one right there. And that point would be 0, -3. So the question is literally asking, in this graph, the purple one, if x is 0, what's the y coordinate? And the y coordinate is -3. And that's how you do that one. Okay? If you look at number 2, number 2 is h of -1. And that is your red graph, the h one. So the number inside the parentheses is x. So when x is -1, what is y? So I'm going to look at the red graph, and I'm looking for a point, and I want to make sure that I choose a closed-in point. So this little point right down here exists at -1, but it's open. So it really doesn't exist at -1. So I want to make sure that I choose a point that's actually closed in. So I'm going to choose this upper one, and that point would be -1, 0. So the question is asking, when x is -1, what's the y coordinate? And the y coordinate is 0, so that's what we put as our answer. Alright, and I'm going to do number 3 with you. So number 3 is talking about g of 0, green. Okay? And then, let me just underline like I did the other ones. X coordinate is 0. So I'm going to look on the graph. I'm going to look for a closed-in point. So I'm not going to choose this one because it is open. I'm going to choose this point up here because it's closed in. That point is 0, 4. So the question is asking, when x is 0, what is y? And the y coordinate is 4. So you just put the answer 4. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try these, and then we'll talk about them together and see if it makes sense. So pause it in 1, 2, 3. The first thing I've done is I went ahead and color-coded the graph so that you can see it. So in purple, I have the f functions. In green, I have the g functions. And in h, I have the red functions, because you have to know which graph you're looking at. And then each time, you're given the x coordinate, so you're finding it on the graph and figuring out what the y coordinate is. Okay, so for number 4, when x is 3, I'm going to go up to a closed in. The answer is 3. So I'm choosing this point right here. That point is 3, 3. When x is 3, y is 3. Okay? For number 5, when x is -4, so about right up here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Y is 9. Okay, back to the purple graph. When f is -3, once again, I'm going to go all the way to a closed-in circle. I'm going to get 3 for the y coordinate. For 7, I'm going to look at the g graph. When it is 10, it's all the way down here. Should be -9. We'll count just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, -9. For number 8, I'm looking at the h graph. 0. For number 9, looking at the h graph again. So -10. Oh, goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I would be somewhere over here. I'm going to just skip this one because I hate this one. I shouldn't put that on there. Yucky. If they were giving me a function, I could figure it out really quickly. I'm not going to waste our time. So we're going to skip that one. Okay. Number 10, when it is 8, y is negative 9. Number 11, look at the purple one. When x is 1, it is down there at negative 3. Number 12, when x is 5, oh, these are so tiny. 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like it's 5. Right, number 13, looking at the h graph, when it's negative 2, it's all the way up at positive 2. Number 14, when g is 1, looks like y is 3. Red graph, when h is 2, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks like 6. And then the last one, purple, when it's negative 5. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Alright, so we skipped number 9 just because it went off the page. I mean, I could sit there and count it, but I don't have time for that. Who wants to do that? So, hopefully this helped, and we're going to do a few more. Okay, so the only difference between this one and the previous one is that we're not given graphs to look at, but we're given piecewise functions. So, it gets a little more complicated, but let's do the same thing where we color code. So I'm going to do, all my F graphs are going to be purple, my G's are going to be green, my H's are going to be blue, and my J's are going to be red. So I'm going to pause the video and you can do this too, and I'm going to go ahead and color code which ones these are going to go to. Okay, so there it is, color coded, so I know which one I'm looking at. The other thing that you have to do is you have to look at what's your X value, and then you look at your restricted domain. So if I look at number 1, it's saying my X is 0. So you're going to look at your restricted domains. Those are the ones on the right. Is X greater than 3? Is 0 greater than 3? Is X between 0 and 3? Is 0 between 0 and 3? Or is X less than 0? Is 0 less than 0? The only one it falls into is that middle category. So then I'm going to replace this X with that value. So when you plug a 0 in for X, your Y value is going to be 0. Let's do some more because sometimes that's a little confusing. So let's look at number 2. Number 2, I'm doing G of 0. So my X value is 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to 0, or is it less than 0? It's definitely greater than or equal to 0. So I'm going to replace this X with 0. So if you type in the square root of 0 in your calculator, you're going to get 0. Your answer is 0. Okay, and then number 3. So X is 0 again. Is 0 greater than negative 1, or is it less than or equal to negative 1? It's definitely greater than negative 1. So you don't even have to plug in the value. That's your Y value, 5. So what we do is we look at what does X equal, then we figure out which restricted domain it goes to, and then we actually plug it into the function. Alright, so I'm going to do another one, and then I'm going to let you try it. So, number 4, J of 0. X is 0. Is 0 equal to 5, or is it not equal to 5? So it's not equal to 5. I'm going to put it in the second one. I'm going to replace this X with that value 0. So negative 2, replace the X with 0 plus 1. If you can't do mental math, you can put that in your calculator. Your answer is 1. So that's what you're doing each time. Figure out which restricted domain it goes in, then plug it into the function. Alright, so I'm going to pause this and see if you can try it, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so here are the answers I got. I did it pretty quickly. Sometimes I do it wrong. So message me if you think I'm wrong, and we'll go over these. But so every time you just figure out which piecewise function you are plugging into, look at the number they give you for X, plug that into the correct restricted domain, and then plug it into the actual formula. That's it. If you have extra questions, you can send me a message. We can find some extra problems to do together. Alright, hopefully that helped. Bye.